Dr. Gulani, welcome to the Innovators One-on-One series, and I have the privilege today of interviewing Hurley Haywood, the American legend, world champion car racer at our institute today. So Hurley, welcome. Really a pleasure seeing you.
Thank you for having me.
So to begin with, Hurley, this is an inspirational series with innovators and visionaries. And how did you get started?
Well, I've always had a love affair with cars. When I was just a small little baby, I would throw out of the crib all the soft, cuddly toys and keep the steel cars and little model cars. And my mother said I never could understand that. And then as I went through, I started driving a full-size car when I was 11 years old. We had a big farm outside of Chicago. I was born right in the city, and then my grandmother had a big farm outside the city, and with miles and miles of road. So at 11 years old, I started driving a 1948 Studebaker truck with a 3-speed on the stick, and I drove that car successfully with not getting caught by my family until I was 16, and
5 years.
Able to get my regular driver's license. But that gave me the opportunity to experience a lot of different road surfaces, from asphalt, gravel, dirt, no roads at all. So I knew, I didn't understand what understeer was or oversteer, but I knew if I went too fast into a corner, I would not be able to make the corner, so I had to slow down. The front would push, and I couldn't make the radius, and I knew if I wanted to, if I was going to end up in the woods, I had to slow down. So by the time I was 16 years old, I was a pretty good driver.
Fantastic. So in other words, you didn't go to a school. You just learned on your own, and you went through, like most of us who have a passion for what we do, is we just keep learning on our own and take all the nuances of nature and then just excel.
That's exactly what I did. I never went through a school. And when I finally got here down to college, I had a really fast Corvette, and met Peter Gregg, who used to own a very, very famous dealership here in Jacksonville, and he took me under his wing. He saw a sort of an innate ability that I had, and he said, I think I can develop this kid into being my teammate. And that whole vision that he had absolutely came out in spades from him. He took a chance, and it worked out perfectly.
Well, let's start to a story, guys. Once again, this is the Visionaries series, and I have Hurley Haywood with me, and what a super start where he says he didn't even go to a school to teach cars. And what do I keep telling people who ask me about eye surgery is, again, the same thing. Just take your innate skills, let nature guide you, and never settle for ordinary. Hurley, from there, how did you become a Porsche master and racing all over the world?
Well, the car that I beat Peter Gregg in at an autocross here at a Winn-Dixie grocery store parking lot, Peter very quickly talked me out of the Corvette and to get a 911, a Porsche. And the first, I agreed to do that. The first race that we were in was 6 hours of walk and run. I didn't even have a driver's license or a racing license at that point. And Peter said, "Don't worry about it. We'll get you in. We'll get you a NASCAR license. You got that through $20 in the mail, and then they sent you their NASCAR license, and then you applied to an FIA license, which is an international license, and that's the only thing that I needed to run in the 6 hour. So, make a long story short, we won the class, we won our division, and away we went. And unfortunately, several months after that was in June, and in August I got my draft notice and was shipped to Vietnam. So that was kind of being on the high and then on the low side. But in reality, I sort of take that military experience where you had to learn discipline, you had to not refute the different orders that you were given, to just do it and do it to the best of your ability, to be prepared for what you were doing, preparation was a big thing, and it all kind of worked out. So when I came back to the States in the end of 1970, started again with Peter Gregg in 1971, I had a big advantage opposed to the competition, so it helped me.
Super again. So you kept on going and actually being deployed. You said you took that also as a positive and learned the concept of adherence to principles and keeping your things flying.
Yeah, I mean, I was just a kid, and when you suddenly get stripped out of your environment that you're very comfortable in, and you are put into a completely alien environment, and having bullets shot at you at the same time, you tend to grow up really quickly, and you learn what to do to survive. And when you look at a racetrack and a racing environment, it's survival, and you have to regulate the risks that you take. It's all a balance of risk, and sometimes there's an opportunity to take the risk where the outcome is going to be good, and there's other times where you analyze it and you say, no, I got to step back, I got to wait for the opportunity to avail itself, and that's basically kind of what you learn. It's like playing chess. When you are playing chess, and I don't play chess, but I've watched a lot of it, your moves are sometimes, the initial move you're making is determined by moves that are 3 or 4 moves ahead. So you're analyzing the playing board and taking calculated risk.
That brings me actually to, when you and me were at the Porsche racing thing, and I must give you credit for turning me into an active driver. I think that's the word you called. And till then I used to drive, and I loved driving fast, but I used to always have my foot on the brake. And you taught me how to just go with the acceleration and depend on the car. And that was amazing with the Porsche. And also we together wrote that article, Think Beyond the Cones. And for people who are viewing, that had a double entendre on it, think beyond the cones, because in our eyes, in our retina, we have rods and cones for vision. And in Hurley's world, the cones are those orange things on the racing track, right? And he would make me go like this at full speed, no stopping, no brakes. And that really raises your confidence. So we thought about that as a life statement in the joint article we wrote in Panorama, the Porsche magazine, about think beyond the cones, meaning don't see the obstructions in your way, look where you need to be, not where you're going, right?
Exactly. You want to go, most people, I think the biggest improvement that people make from the driving standpoint is you look to where you want to go. You don't look where you're going. And vision is such an integral part of the successful completion of what you want to do. So when I remember when you first started, you were looking at the cones right in front of you. Yeah, you could get through that first gate, but then it all went to hell in a handbasket. And because your vision just was not calculating where you needed to look. So once we sort of got that image in your mind, then everything got better.
Super, and that's a life lesson too, coming from Hurley. Think beyond the cones. That was our article. And then Hurley, on the same pretext, I mean, any highest point in your career that you can explain to the viewers?
Well, anytime you win a race, it's a high point. And I've won some, really big races, 5 times at the 24 Hours of Daytona, 3 times at the 24 Hours of Le Mans, 2 times at Sebring, a bunch of championships. And so when every single one of those race wins are a high. But you can't get too, as Al Holbert once said, the clock goes back to 0. You can win a race, everything is great, but the clock goes back to 0, and you have to start all anew again. And that's kind of the philosophy. You don't get too boastful about win. You want to have the first win, the second win, 10 wins. So you're never satisfied with the amount of wins you have, and that requires a constant evaluation of what you're doing and how that is relating to the competition that you're running against.
Super lesson again. What it may for the viewers again, for inspiring them, because this is a Visionaries series, is what was the lowest point that you would like to share and how you got out of it?
Well, the lowest point was probably when I had a really bad accident in Multifocal, Canada. Broke my leg in a million different pieces, and every time I take a step, I remember that. But I was in a race car racing again 4 months after the accident, in the cast. My leg was in a cast, and the race car was about the only place that I could go where I didn't think about the pain that I was in, because you were concentrating on so many things that were going on around you that the pain was not a part of it. As soon as I got out of the race car, then I started thinking about the pain again. But you know, it was overcoming an obstacle. You had, you know, something that you had to do. You were getting paid a lot of money to do it, and I was not going to let my broken leg get in the way. So it all kind of worked out. You know, it was, for a while it was really painful to do it, but as I said, the pain was doable, it was manageable, and you just blocked it out.
You distracted it with your vision beyond the cones.
Yeah.
Lovely, lovely. And you know, I remember, Hurley, you took me for a drive in your 59. And being an eye surgeon, where I keep pushing colleagues of mine for the concept of beyond 20/20, because thank God I was born with that vision. I was fascinated to see your reflexes as you would move the clutch and, you know, move your foot, and with the damaged or the painful foot in the 59. So how much do you think your vision was part of it, and how much do you think was reflexes at that point?
Well, they both work hand in hand. So reflex is a product of vision. So when you're looking at something, your mind is telling you, okay, you need to shift at this point, or you need to brake at this point, or you need to get on the throttle at this point. And when you do that enough times, the sequence becomes almost automatic. It's like when you're doing surgery. You know what you're doing. Sometimes the surgical move has to be done very slowly and delicately. Other times it has to be done quickly. So the same thing with the cars. You know, your sort of reflexes are based on what's going on, and as you know, shifting and your relationship to everything is related. The steering wheel, the brake, the clutch, and the throttle are all connected to each other. And your vision is the thing that's dictating what you're doing. So it all kind of works out.
Great. Any further notes of inspiration to people who are watching, Hurley, as a visionary? Any thoughts in your mind?
The one thing that I've learned over the years, because you can have up years, down years, sort of average years, is to never give up. You know, you never give up in a race car. You can just have a horrible race. Everything that can be going against you is going against you. And suddenly you see this window of opportunity. And you pounce on that window and you make that work for you. And I've gone from the back of the pack to the front of the pack and won the race, when nobody thought that could be done. And so you just never, I'm a kind of person that has the sort of the mental outlook that you always think of the glass as half full and not half empty. And you always can make something work regardless of how impossible that might seem. Impossible is not part of my vocabulary.
Love it. So again, we see as a visionary in Hurley, the great American legend, world champion racing. You talked about optimism, you talked about daredevil focus, you talked about not to let anything get you down, and how to even use the negatives as a positive. That you actually went into the car to forget your pain, but the car was the one that gave you the accident, and you still came out a winner from that. Hurley, fantastic, and there you are, another phenomenal visionary, Hurley Haywood.
Thank you.
Pleasure having you, Hurley, right here.
Thank you, Doc.
Pleasure.